Hey guys, so I made a combination model of Kalmah and Ehlek, the Barraki sets from 2007, and I love them. They're so good. So this is technically video 2 for my Barraki challenge. It's a little bit different from what I had originally planned on doing for these videos, but I'm just having a lot of fun doing this. So like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it, right? And with that said, just know if you want to build these models for yourself, you will be able to. These will be made freely available on my Discord, which will be linked in the description below. I'm going to make the instructions available once I do kind of the overview of all of the models that I have designed. So without further ado, my combination between Kalmah and Ehlek, I give you Halemakk. Halemakk. I don't know how I want to pronounce that, but essentially it's a combination of the names as well. So just using the letters however I want. With that said, I am really happy with how this came out because he looks elegant. And Ehlek, as cool of a build as it is, it does not give you a whole lot of pieces for building something that's kind of Titan sized. This is maybe about the same size as Hydraxon. It's a little bit taller than a typical Barraki set, and so you do get some height out of it, and that is thanks to the custom built torso that I designed around these sort of Hortica necks. That does mean that there's also a bit of articulation in the back here, but it's not really anything notable, nothing nearly as articulated as like the Pride Act set, right? Still really good looking though, and everything's closed up, buttoned up, really nice. So I'm super happy with how it came out. In terms of the color scheme, I think it's really nice. Most of the green, or especially dark green, is really relegated to just the center and upper torso, and the lime green is mostly towards the extremities, the outer limbs, which I really like. I'm glad that I was able to do something like that. And of course, I didn't just want to copy and paste feet designs from one build to the other, so I went ahead and designed some custom feet for this one as well, using the Kalmah armor pieces on these Barraki mandibles. They're obviously smaller than the previous build that I made, which you should also check out. That is a combination of Karapar and Mantax, but suffice to say, they will still hold up pretty well. Of course, if you want to rearrange it, change it up, do your own thing with it, you're more than welcome to. That's kind of the point of these builds. With that said, in terms of the weapons and in terms of the back, I do want to say that there are some technically illegal building techniques, but nothing is stressed. And by illegal, I'm not talking about breaking anything or damaging anything. Rather, this little spine piece is connected at the top here and is left to freely dangle, but it can fit inside of that socket there, so I just kind of tuck it in. It doesn't do any damage to the piece, but it holds it in place real nicely. On top of that, also, the tentacle pieces technically are not held in by anything, but thanks to them being a rubbery material, they will hold inside of here, and they're not stressed in any way by this as well. So it works, it's great, and I think it's worth it. It gives you a nice looking weapon that, although similar to the Kalmah set, is obviously different enough to look like something unique. And I'm glad I was able to get this really nice sort of thin design using the Ehlek claws, or the Ehlek spines, on the back of the arms as well. So plenty of articulation in the model at the wrists. I do want to mention too that I know that some Ehlek sets, the lime green pieces on them are fragile. In fact, most are. However, a few seem to be okay. Mine thankfully have been. I've not had any issues with my Ehlek short sockets breaking. I think that probably has something to do with the time frame when they were released, because I believe Ehlek came out before Holly and like Lisovic and stuff. But anyway. With that said, though, the articulation in the wrist is good. You're more than welcome to use a different color of double socket there. Articulation in the elbow is what you would expect. Same with the shoulders as well. Same with the knees, the waist, or hips rather, and also the feet as well. Lastly, you can move the head, the neck up, and forward as well. So you can give it a tall aesthetic if you really want to. I don't really care for that look, so I like going for something a little more hunched. I think it makes him look a lot more dangerous, imposing, kind of intimidating in its aesthetic. So really happy with the design of this one in general. And yeah, working with, I will say, dark red and lime green do work together really well. It's very similar to the case with Halemakk, but dark red and dark green can be a lot harder to work with in my opinion. So I think this does a good job with that combination and making everything just kind of work by leaving the dark green kind of toward the center. And I also wanted to mention, if I didn't already, that there are no extra pieces in this build at all. It is purely a combination of Kalmah and Ehlek. The last build I did use one extra piece, but it's a 3 long friction pin. It's nothing major, and I think it was worth it for the aesthetic of that set. But yeah, in this case here, completely 100% vanilla, 100% a combination without anything extra kind of going on. So, in terms of interesting building techniques, are there any? I think that the way that the body is kind of constructed is actually really cool. It does a lot of really interesting things to get pinholes lined up and everything just right, because double or sockets just in general can be a little bit harder to work with in the Technic sort of line because of the way they're shaped, but it does work really well here. And of course it gives you the ability to attach that spine really nicely. I didn't use any of the Exoforce clip pieces or any of the squid pieces either. I'm sure you could if you wanted to give it a different aesthetic. And the spike pieces or teeth pieces are used on the ankles and the neck just to, again, kind of bring things together. But again, you can leave those out if you want to. There are a decent amount of extra pieces left over from this one, although there's really not any like major pins or anything left over, so you would be a little more limited. But you could add, one of those Exoforce clips in here and a squid or something if you wanted to cover that up from the front. I don't really care to do it. But you do have the option, or you could move some of the like spikes around or what have you. You've got plenty of options, and of course you can add your own pieces as well. In fact, if you wanted to add a couple of pins to the front of the Paraka foot here, you could attach the Ehlek head directly to that and kind of have like a glowing heart area, which is pretty cool. And maybe you could think of that as being like sort of like a lure, that he like has a bioluminescent chest or something and tries to use that to lure in unsuspecting Rahi to gobble him up, right? So, but yeah, that is pretty much it. So that is the Halemakk build. Again, remember, this will be made freely available on my Discord. Try to get it to stand up over here. And of course, if you want to check out that Discord or my Instagram, Patreon, anything else, they are in the description below. And make sure, as always, that you are subscribed, because it really helps out the channel. We're trying to get to 1,500 subs before the 12th specifically. So hopefully we can get there. I think we can do it. And yeah, I love y'all. You gall.